Hey guys, it's John from Album Review TV. It's time for a viewer requested review and one that I was hoping to check out anyways. It's Everyday Robots, the debut studio album by legendary UK former Blur frontman and co-creator of Gorillaz, Damon Albarn. This album is called Everyday Robots, preceded by the lead single of the same name. There's a lot of different tags that you could probably throw on this record and they'd probably all be accurate. Folktronica, electronica, trip hop, down tempo, just a few that come to my mind, and they all fit. Like I said, this album is really a little bit of everything, and while I initially was a little bit, turned off by the record's down tempo style, it's something that I've come to appreciate in the sense that it's a much more atmospheric and appropriate at certain times styled record, like Beck's Morning Phase was for me as well, something that's turned into one of my favorite albums of the year. And I'm not saying that this necessarily will, but I think overall it definitely has a very interesting appeal to it, at least if you're in a certain mood. Now, I've personally never been a fan of much of anything Damon has been involved with. I think that Blur, minus a few songs here and there, are a very mediocre Brit-pop group that never really, did anything that really impressed me. And Gorillaz, while a little bit more impressive to me, it's just not anything that was really up my alley, nothing that was my style, nothing that I really clicked with that much. Of course, there were certain songs from Gorillaz that I absolutely loved, but they never really had a full album that I connected with, and I was just like, yeah, this is definitely something that I'm going to appreciate for a while, or something that I'm really connecting with. And this solo album is the first thing that I've really kind of connected with on a weird level. It's something that I can almost picture what he was going for, or like what I think he was going for on a lot of these tracks. Now let's go ahead and go through this album track by track, starting with my least favorite track, the album's opener, Everyday Robots. Why that was chosen as the lead single, lyrically, I guess I get it. He wanted to kind of explain what this record was kind of going to be dealing with, topic-wise, and I do appreciate that. I love the lyrical message in this song. We're everyday robots. We're robots sitting in our cars, sitting at home, glued to our TV screen, the phone obviously, or just listening to music in our own little world and not really caring about the outside world. But that doesn't save the song from being extremely boring and monotonous musically. I get the fact that he probably wanted to kind of go for that, considering we're everyday robots, we're robots, we do the same thing every day. Well, that doesn't change the fact that this song drudges along with the repetition and the excitement of a snail's daily routine. What may seem interesting for a few moments quickly turns tasteless within a minute of hearing this track. A string part and a churning programmed drum track kind of feel like a life fading out as we watch the heart, if you will, kind of stop beating only to immediately be brought back and just kind of drudge on over and over again. Like I said, understand and appreciate and respect the lyrical message he was going for here, but an extremely dull and lifeless track musically. Then we move on to the track Hostiles. It has a very melancholy feel to it that actually flows pretty well in my opinion. The guitar on it is light and raw, as I can actually hear the fingers sliding up and down the frets here on this track with airy backing vocals that sound quite refreshing along with Damon's own vocals. The next track on the record is actually a single that is probably, I would say, lightly techno influence. It's called Lonely Press Play. It features a very churny synth line that actually has this kind of minimalistic style that's become quite popular. That's how the backing instruments kind of flow, such as the piano. Albarn sings arrhythmia, accepting that you live with uncertainty here on this track, almost as to give the listener like a new definition of the word arrhythmia. It means irregular, abnormal, and is probably most likely, I think at least, a commentary and a creative take on the fact that nothing in life is certain, and that the arrhythmia is actually the ups and downs of everyday life. Finally, we get to a more up-tempo track, Mr. Tembo. It adds a little bit of spark to this very downtrodden and airy style that the album has carried up to this point. And I'm not saying, like I said, I do appreciate that, but at times, I'm hoping for a little bit more life, Well, these next two tracks actually provide that, and I think it's great that these are kind of stuck right in the middle. Not necessarily right at the middle, but it's kind of in the heart of the album. Probably my favorite track here on this record, with a lighthearted, good-natured vibe with the guitars and gospel-styled backing vocals carrying this track. It's very catchy, it's different, and could easily be a single. And the next track that actually comes after that, even though it's just an interlude, dare I say, I would like to call it my overall favorite just because of the way it was styled. It's called Parakeet. It is an interlude in between Mr. Tembo and the Selfish Giant. And it's definitely got me thinking that I want this track to be longer. It's got these cool little chimes, a nice little synth line going, and I just hate that it's only like 45 seconds long. On the next track, Natasha Khan appears as an Albarn-described ghostly echo on this track, The Selfish Giant. Is it my favorite track on this LP? No, not by a long shot, but does it pique my curiosity? Yes. For some odd reason, it definitely does. It's got my attention, and I will say that this kind of music isn't necessarily my cup of tea, but Albarn has me very curious at many moments of this record. Why? It's not catchy, it's not in your face, it's not necessarily bold or daring or super experimental, but for some odd reason, it's got my attention. Despite my initial feelings of boredom towards parts of this record while listening, it slowly won me over with repeated listens. You and Me is the next track here on this record, and it's yet another weary yet well done track full of commentary straight out of Albarn's thoughts and dreams. And there's an interesting array of instruments here on this track in particular, ranging from an organ to a guitar, all working together to create this very massively atmospheric track that stands out to me as one of the highlights here on this record. Okay, my birth year of 1991 got name dropped on the track Hollow Pond, so Damon, you automatically got my attention there on that one. You had my full undivided attention. Maybe it's the fact that the majority of my time spent listening to this record was on rainy days, but the record certainly does have this certain charm about it, especially on this track, Hollow Ponds. This track has me feeling like I'm in the middle of a forest on a foggy day, kind of going on an adventure, exploring and discussing with the songwriter. History of a Cheating Heart is one of the more unappealing tracks on the record in my opinion, dealing with this problematic relationship that Albarn has experienced. Although I will say his vocals sound oddly hopeful and optimistic on this track, and it's quite nice upon the ears. Heavy Seas of Love sees the album out to sea on, okay, too many sea-related puns, sorry. It does kind of sail out on a positive note though, with Albarn seeing the struggles of everyday life and love, but knowing that life will continue moving on. Even if it's not in the right way, you're gonna make it through it, you're gonna survive, life is gonna go on. Overall, am I shocked? No. Were my expectations exceeded greatly? Yes. That's the key to this record. Albarn's work has to be carefully examined here on this record, but once placed under the microscope, I think we can all find something that we like here on this album. I'm not saying that everyone will love this record, and I'm not going to say that I am in love with it, but I think that there are a lot of moments that I will be coming back to, and I think that there will be certain days where I think that this is a very fitting album for me to listen to. And overall, I'm going to give this album a 4 out of 5. What did you guys think of Damon Albarn's solo debut, Everyday Robots? Make sure you hit the like button on this review, and of course let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Let me know what albums I should review next. I'm planning on possibly reviewing Lindsey Stirling, Framing Hanley, and of course I will see you very soon right here on Album Review TV. Make sure you check me out on Twitter, Facebook, and my new channel, ARTV Entertainment.